Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine.
Good evening and welcome to Champions League Live for our second night of Matchday 7 action in the penultimate match day of the Champions League league phase. We watch Manchester City and PSG, both sides not in the positions they want to be in the league table. Manchester City teetering above qualification in 24th, PSG in 26th, both needing victories tonight to get a bit of headroom on that relegation position, that elimination zone. We'll see if both sides can really turn it on tonight, because between them, just 2 wins each in the Champions League this season is uncharted territory for certainly Manchester City in recent years, with their poor form in recent weeks in this competition. PSG have been really nowhere near it, but one last time out, giving them a chance to take a big 3 points tonight to get back into that top 24. Already this evening, RB Leipzig have beaten Sporting by 2-1. Sporting in the top 24. Leipzig already eliminated, so a real, just a pride game for Leipzig, and they won earlier this evening. And Shakhtar Donetsk as well, beating Stade Brest by 2-0. Brest pushing towards the top 8. They're in 11th at the moment, but with that defeat, sees them in a better position. But Shakhtar keep their hopes of qualifying alive, winning tonight and could win next week if results go their way, could sneak in to the top 24. Also this evening, 8 o'clock kickoffs, 6 other 8 o'clock kickoffs that we'll be keeping an eye on. AC Milan take on Girona, Arsenal take on Dinamo Zagreb. Zagreb just outside the top 24, Arsenal in the top 8, Celtic and Young Boys facing off at Celtic Parc. Feyenoord take on Bayern Munich. RB Salzburg head to Real Madrid, the reigning European champions, and Sparta Prague host Inter Milan. Real Madrid certainly aren't in easy position either, in 22nd. Some big sides struggling this season in the Champions League, and it makes it all the more entertaining for us to watch, including this one tonight, where almost certainly a team that loses tonight must win next week in a tough fixture for both of these two teams come next week. But tonight it's about putting themselves on the map. It's putting a statement out there that they will be here and fighting in the Champions League this season if one of them can come out with all 3 points. We will see. Let's have a look at the teams then, starting with the home side in PSG. They start with Gigi Donnarumma in goal, a back 4 of Achraf Hakimi, Marquinhos the captain, Pacho and Nuno Mendes in defence. João Neves joins Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz in midfield, Bradley Barcola off the left, Lee Kang-in off the right, and Doué leading the PSG line. On the bench for PSG tonight, a full 12 on the bench for them: Tenas, Safonov, Kimpembe, Beraldo, Zag, Luca Hernandez, Zaire Emery, Mayulo, Tape, Ramos, Asensio and Ousmane Dembele. For Manchester City, they start with Edison in goal, a back 4 with Matheus Nunes at right back, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Dias and Joshua Gvardiol are the defenders. Kovacic, Bernardo Silva and Kevin De Bruyne are in midfield, with Phil Foden further forward on the right side, Savinho on the left and Erling Haaland leading the Manchester City line. On the bench for the visitors City tonight, Ortega, Carson Stones, Lewis, Alain, Gundogan, Grealish, McAtee, O'Reilly and Wright. Some youngsters on the City bench, and not a full 12, just 10 on the City bench tonight, with a couple out injured. Of course, no Jeremy Doku from the weekend. He is out, of course, so he is not involved this evening. But a couple of players signed by City in the week, not registered in time, not on the bench for this one this evening. And we'll see how they perform tonight. They've not been at their best this season, Manchester City, in this competition, but neither have PSG. So it's really one who knows what to expect. Kick-off at the Parc des Princes in Paris is on the way next. Very good evening. Welcome to Champions League Live. Two huge sides, two sides that we've been in Champions League finals in recent years, but a long time since then, of those two clubs looking to keep themselves in the competition heading into the knockout stages, both all but guaranteed they won't be getting a free pass to the round of 16 come this point. That's almost impossible for these two, but a big win tonight could reignite their hopes of a top 24 place and really get themselves into a battle for those knockout playoffs come next month. But we will see. We'll keep up to date with everything that's going on elsewhere, because there's a lot of moving pieces in the Champions League over these next couple of nights, over last night and tonight, and then next Wednesday, the big night, where all the teams will play at the exact same time, and we'll see how everything unfolds next week. But tonight, it's all about these two teams. As I said, to this point, haven't really got themselves in good positions, and we'll see what they can do to try and make up for their poor early form in the Champions League this season. PSG in their home strip of navy blue, Manchester City in a different kit this evening. I believe it's their third kit, and it's kind of a pale yellowish colour with light blue through the trim. But we will look and see. Kind of a wet, really horrible night in Paris. Not a night where either side will be feeling it will be an easy task for them. But a couple of players for both teams not involved tonight. Of course, Vika Kvaratskhelia joining PSG from Napoli in a few days ago. He's not registered in time. He's not in the squad tonight for PSG. He's watching on in the stands. And of course, Manchester City made a few signings as well in the last few days. Also not involved this evening. We're underway everywhere around Europe in all of their 7 8 o'clock kickoffs this evening, and we'll keep you updated with how the table works, how everything is going, and what each goal means for each team in the Champions League tonight, because it is a big night, and it is one last chance before the final game of the campaign for these teams to put some points on the board before the big crunch setup next week. Of course, 2 English sides in action tonight. We watched Man City here at the Parc des Princes, and Arsenal taking on Dinamo Zagreb at the Emirates, an Emirates Stadium where Arsenal were 2-0 up at the weekend and dropped 2 points from a winning position. Man City known from dropping points from winning positions this season. We're 3-0 up against Feyenoord in the Champions League and drew 3-3. Tonight they'll be hoping they can just get the 3 points on the board against a PSG side that has a lot of quality, but maybe just not that consistency. Here's Kovacic, a break for City, down the left-hand side. Good block on Kevin De Bruyne's cross there. And we'll go behind for a Manchester City corner. On this left-hand side, with a goal already gone in at the Emirates. We'll get to that in a moment with Manchester City taking this corner. The rain is absolutely teeming down here inside the Parc des Princes. It is really vicious rain at this point. Corner taken short by De Bruyne. Cut it back to Kovacic. Just got a bit loose there. Did get it away from Doué. All the way back here with Kanji. Oh, just about kept in down the left side. All the way back to Edison. But certainly seeing the rain have its effect in these early moments. The slick moving of the ball. Both sides struggling to get real control of it. It's Diaz back to his keeper in Edison. Pressure here. Well won by Barcola. Trying to find his way through. City get bodies back in, but Barcola spreads it out to the right-hand side. Cross comes in, and it's caught by Edison. It was a good cross on the right-hand side there from Desiree Doué. Making a good move down the right flank, and the ball into the box. Wasn't a bad one, but it was well marked, well covered over by Edison. Here's Kovacic breaking away from Doué. In the central areas. Out wide on the right it comes to Nunez. Now Bernardo Silva back to Mateus Nunez. Stepping in field. Nunez on the break and trying to switch it out on the outside for Bernardo Silva, but completely overhits the pass. Goal I can tell you about, as I said, at the Emirates, and it's an early one for the English side. Arsenal have taken the lead against Dinamo Zagreb by 1-0. In the second minute, Declan Rice has given Arsenal the lead. A win for Arsenal tonight would put them up to 3rd in the Champions League table, and it would all but qualify them for the round of 16, because they would be 3 points above anyone else outside the top 8. Here's a chance for Doué. Good save by Edison. It was a good break down the right side by PSG. I was just watching it happen. It was really nicely worked by Desiree Doué, just trying to jink his way around Joško Vardiol. Goes on the outside eventually, goes round Vardiol the long way takes the strike from the narrow angle, and Edison smothers it behind for a corner, but it was well worked by the PSG man, and he gets a corner, the 19-year-old. Left-footed delivery from the corner to the back post, away by Vardiol. Will be recycled here by Nuno Mendes. Left-footed delivery, headed away this time again by City. And Ruben Dias this time, and now PSG have given up the ball. Bernardo Silva trying to go long. Well, intercepted. Just a bit of chaos ensuing at the moment with this ball. Bouncing everywhere. Well picked up by Akimi. Now infield to Lee. And we'll just settle it back with his centre-back in Pacho. Of course, William Pacho joining Marquinhos at centre-back this evening, the 23-year-old Ecuadorian. Joined PSG in the summer for over £30 million from Eintracht Frankfurt. Of course, started all 6 previous Champions League games for PSG. Here's Fabian Ruiz. He was very heavily involved in PSG's run to the semi-final last year, when they were knocked out by eventual runners-up Borussia Dortmund. Pacho, Marquinhos, Akimi flicks it on for Lee, who can't find the return ball to Akimi there, and it's intercepted now. Savinho breaking down the left side, turns back in. Good challenge in there by Neves, getting PSG back on the ball. Swung out to the left-hand side for Barcola. Lovely first touch. Space here for Bradley Barcola on the left side. Trying to feed it through. Vitinha had to turn back to Nuno Mendes, but again, good move by PSG. Pacho and Marquinhos. Down the left is Mendes. Infield to Barcola. Flicked on Vitinha. Linking up there with Doué. Out wide to Lee. Now Akimi on the overlap. Ashraf Hakimi comes back infield. Linking up with Lee. Back again with Marquinhos. Lee. Marquinhos again. Vitinha. Keeping it moving are PSG at the moment. Having Manchester City sitting a bit deeper. Here's Nuno Mendes up against Akanji. Steps in field, trying to go for the 1-2. There with Doué. And Akanji just got his foot in time to block the ball in behind. It was really nicely worked. Nuno Mendes going for the 1-2 with Desiree Doué. That was a good challenge by Akanji as the ball was coming back to the PSG left back. And just goes behind for the corner. Well defended by Manuel Akanji. A decent start from PSG so far. Controlling the ball, certainly. Here's Lee to take this corner. Left-footed delivery. Flicked away by Ruben Dias. Not fully dealt with, though, as Mendes will pick it back up for PSG. Vitinha looking to spread it out to the right-hand side. Here's Akimi. They just get back into shape after that corner. Mendes trying to flick it on to Lee, who was pushed over there by Mateus Nunes. Free kick for PSG. Well, as I said about PSG, they had that really poor run in the middle section of the campaign. They started off with a win, albeit a very close win at home against Girona on match day 1, a 1-0 victory, late goal in that one. Then they lost 3 of the next 4 Champions League games, including the trip to Arsenal, the home game against Atletico Madrid, and the visit to Bayern Munich. On all 3 of those occasions, the only point they picked up in that run was the 1-1 draw at home against PSV Eindhoven in that, and then got their second win of the campaign away at RB Salzburg just before Christmas on match day 6, as Ruben Dias gets a yellow card there for his challenge on Ashraf Hakimi. Just kind of swiped his left arm across there, Ruben Dias. There's not much in it, but it is a foul. It's not much malicious intent there, as the England head coach Thomas Tuchel and the French head coach Didier Deschamps in the crowd tonight. Of course, former manager of this football club, Thomas Tuchel. And that cross over the bar by João Neves. Lovely delivery by Lee to the back post, and Neves just coming in at round the back. Matheus Nunes a bit late in reacting to it, was completely kind of beaten for it, and João Neves, all he could do was kind of try and guide it towards goal, and it just goes over the bar. Decent effort there again for Paris Saint-Germain. Foden. Tight area, good press by PSG again, but the referee's just going to pull this back for a foul on Phil Foden by Lee. See it again, yeah. Lee just comes in and kind of takes out Phil Foden. He's nowhere really to go, and it is a foul. The referee this evening, Simon Marciniak from Poland. Refereed the game where PSG lost 2-1 at home to Atletico Madrid earlier this season. Did Simon Marciniak. Certainly gets the big games. Quality referee in the Euros was Simon Marciniak, as Matheus Nunes couldn't control that switch ball and just crosses the sidelines for a PSG throw. So far, 11 minutes gone. PSG 0, Manchester City 0. And you'd have to say the home side probably the better of the two teams at this minute in time. City just not able to get it going in these early moments. It's a lovely flick on Gvardiol, just about got back in against Hakimi. He was almost beaten there by Desiree Doué's ball, and PSG looking more of a threat there down that side again. Man City just recover in time. Here's Matheus Nunes. Right, trying to link up with Foden, back with Bernardo Silva. Good challenge there by Barcola, and will just be a City throw, as Luis Enrique, the PSG head coach, shouting instructions at his players. Two top quality Spanish managers on the sidelines tonight, Luis Enrique and Pep Guardiola. Both know what it takes at the top level. Long ball over the top. There's a lovely run in behind here. Flicked across to Haaland. Couldn't really find Foden. Block, and the follow-up by De Bruyne is punched away by Donnarumma. Again, better from City. One ball over the top. And it was a great run by De Bruyne initially. The ball came across to Haaland, who really couldn't get a strike on it. As it came for Foden, it might have come off someone's arm, City were claiming. Didn't get it, and then De Bruyne's final shot was punched away by Gigi Donnarumma. City on the flow here, down the right side. Nunes with a cross, too much on it as Hakimi trying to battle against Savinho. Savinho does well at winning it back from Manchester City, trying to keep the pressure on PSG here. Silva on the turn, linking up with De Bruyne, back to Kovacic. He puts himself in a bit of bother there, Mateo Kovacic. And Desiree Doué on the scene, along with Fabian Ruiz. So see the possible handball again. It's not a handball. Comes off the chest of Marquinhos there, quite clearly. Not a handball. I understand why the City players kill him for it. But even if VAR did have a look, it was a quick look and a quick clearing of that. It takes one glance to figure out that wasn't handball. Another goal to tell you about come in Prague this evening, between Sparta Prague and Inter Milan. At the moment, Inter, before this, find themselves in a decent position in the table, just outside the top 8, but they're now inside the top 8 with them leading away in Sparta Prague. Speaking of that, here comes Barcola down the left side, chops in field, and Akanji was there on the cover and got it cleared, and had to be in that position, otherwise Bradley Barcola would have had a clear shot at goal. Vitinha. Back to Hakimi, out wide to Doué. Doué breaking into the box, trying to get it across, took a deflection, wanted a handball there to the PSG players, not going to get one. Here comes the Fabian Ruiz. Now Nuno Mendes, and has to turn back to William Pacho. So as I was saying, there a moment ago. Inter Milan leading Sparta Prague by a goal to nil. Lautaro Martinez with the goal there. That has the Italian side 1-0 to the good at the moment. Only their 8th goal of the campaign. Not ferocious goal scorers, but have conceded just 1 goal this season in the Champions League. Inter, an incredible defensive record for them, and they're all but sealing their place in the top 8 at this moment as it stands. Here is Doué again. Seen a lot of that play down the right side from PSG so far. Seem really comfortable down that right flank, trying to attack Manchester City. Marquinhos back to Pacho. Now Nuno Mendes forced a really poor ball into Vitinha, which allows City to win it back through Akanji. Doué tracking back. That's really good marking by Hakimi, and Doué there down the right side, winning it back for PSG. There seems to be that little looseness in the passing from City at times tonight. When you feel like PSG have given the ball away, their counter press has worked for City, but when they try and get forward with a bit of pace, there's just that lack of sharpness in those areas to keep the ball moving, and allows PSG to win it back again, because they've had the majority of the ball so far. The home side over 60% of the possession, which, when we're talking about Manchester City, it's very rare that we say that any team has more possession than City in a game, as Ruiz tried to make a run down the right flank, but the flag goes up pretty quickly there. Offside. Yeah, it was quite clear to the naked eye that he was offside there. Fabian Ruiz. One thing about PSG, and certainly over the last number of seasons, even last season when they got to the run of the semi-final, a lot of people were saying, you know, yes, they have a lot of quality, they have some really good players, and obviously at that point they had Kylian Mbappe before he moved to Real Madrid. Just hold that thought for a moment. Erling Haaland coming forward here to Bruyne, trying to find a man forward again. City not able to convert into that around the PSG box at the moment. Just closed off well by PSG, but as I was saying, PSG, even when they got to the semi-final last year, they had lots of quality in the squad, but it was maybe about that kind of tenacity and the toughness to get through those tight games in a big Champions League moment. That's where PSG have always fallen down in recent years, when they have been up there competing for Champions Leagues, and that's where they've kind of fallen by the wayside. And so far this season, it's come to fruition once again. They've got good quality players, but are their players enough in the right moments and in the big moments to really show themselves and how good they actually can be, and are probably could be one of the best teams in Europe? But again, it's always been the atmosphere around PSG where you feel they're there, but they're not quite over the top with it. Not really kind of put themselves into the conversation with the top couple of teams in Europe at any given point in time. But certainly semi-finalists last year. But most certainly, you know, we talk about a team that needs a victory tonight. Manchester City aren't in an awful position, let's just say that. As here's Barcola down the left side. It's PSG that need to win more. Quite clearly, Hakimi will shoot, but that was always going to find the hands of Edison from that type of angle. You never know with the slickness of the ball and the rain maybe adding an extra layer to it, but Hakimi's effort in normal circumstances certainly wasn't going to test Edison, and it didn't. But as I was saying, PSG need it more. They're outside the top 24, so they don't win tonight. A draw for them would keep them outside the top 24, needing a win and other results from next week to go in their favour, if they are to get into the knockout playoffs. And that's the thing. It also, who you play is based on what position you end up in. Now, it's completely unpredictable as to what position, who you will play depending on the positions, because a lot can still change between now and full time next Wednesday. But a lot of it, you know, you want to give yourself a good chance and a lot of kind of a springboard to be in good form heading into those games as well in the Champions League. You don't want to be hopping over the line and maybe then face a tough side in the knockouts and go out at that point. You want to try and springboard yourself towards the knockout stages. We'll see. So far, both sides have been quite competitive. As De Bruyne trying to find a cross in, will be blocked by João Neves. Very committed defending, and it will go out for the City throw on the right-hand side, which Matheus Nunes will take. Interesting that the setup came through tonight for Manchester City at Matheus Nunes playing at right back a lot more recently. Here's Foden getting the cross in. Haaland straight at the keeper in Gigi Donnarumma. Nicely lifted ball by Phil Foden right under the head of Erling Haaland, and all he had to do was hit it either side of Donnarumma, and it would have caused a problem, but straight down the keeper's throat from the Norwegian. And a simple gather for the PSG goalkeeper. Good press by Nunes there, winning it back off Mendes. That's going to really cause me problems tonight. Nuno Mendes and Matheus Nunes. Talk about a tongue twister. 20 minutes gone already. Still 0-0. Nothing of real major note to really claim so far. 5 shots in the game, 3 for PSG, 2 for City, but nothing of real great concern to either goalkeeper in terms of quality of chance. A big goal has come in Feyenoord this evening, between Feyenoord and Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich amongst that clutch of teams in the top 24, but outside the top 8, and knowing that a win tonight would give them a hell of a good job of probably getting into that top 8 come the end of this evening. But it is the home side that have taken the lead. Feyenoord are a goal to the good against Bayern Munich, as Foden there in the edge of the box couldn't take his chance ultimately. But Feyenoord leading at Bayern Munich by 1-0 in that one. Santiago Jimenez with the goal. And Feyenoord actually moved themselves up to 13th with a victory tonight. And that is what they're currently holding on to. 1-0 to the home side there. It was nearly a good chance for Manchester City here when the ball came across to Foden. He kind of just slipped on the edge of the box. That's the added extra excitement and interest and intrigue in this game. The rain, slippy surface, slippy ball. Could go very different factors, very different ways. Could be very interesting to see as City try and go for the 1-2 there with De Bruyne and Nunes, and will be a free kick here to Manchester City, and a yellow card's coming out to Nuno Mendes for a pull there. It is a yellow card, second of the evening, first for PSG. Both teams a card apiece. There's quite blatant foul there, quite a blatant pull on the City player. That's De Bruyne there, beaten to the ball by Vitinha, although he gives it straight back to Matheus Nunes. Now Silva, Nunes again, on the way back here to Ruben Dias. Kovacic infield to Bernardo Silva, caught in possession as Silva, given away to Lee, sends Barcola on a run down the left hand side. City have 5 back here. Barcola almost on his own. Now he gets it back to Lee. City get more bodies back. PSG not keen on flooding players into the box, but Lee switches it out to the right for Hakimi. Keep PSG's attack alive. Ruiz, Hakimi, back to Fabian Ruiz, who will spin it back the way towards William Pacho. Here's Lee. Of course, Manchester City got a big win at the weekend. 6-0 winners away at Ipswich. Certainly a confidence booster. Could bring on quite a few youngsters late in that game to kind of rest the big boys, the mainstays in the City team, and give a few a rest. And they knew that game was done and dusted away to Ipswich at the weekends. But coming into this one tonight, knowing that they do need that big performance, that big result. They're on a good run at the minute, Manchester City. unbeaten in the last 6 in all competitions. 5 Premier League games unbeaten. Of course, that FA Cup game as well. But in terms of this competition, as I said, with PSG not on a good run of form. They were unbeaten in their first 3 games, Manchester City, but lost 2 of their last 3 in the competition. Both coming away from home, away to Sporting and away to Juventus. For their last 2 away games in the Champions League, which they lost both of those games. This, of course, will be Manchester City's final away game of the campaign. Nuno Mendes. Over the top it goes, trying to find Barcola. Well dealt with at the back there, but Vitinha nips in and gets the advantage off Kovacic. And here's Doué, not looking for the shot just yet. Dillying on the ball, finds it to Ruiz, trying to dribble his way through, and Vitinha just wide. Good opportunity for PSG. Doué held onto the ball for quite a while as he got into the box. It was good from Vitinha initially to get forward, and then it was nicely worked in the shot, just dragged wide of the left post by Vitinha eventually as it fell to him. And will take a deflection for a corner, but that was better opportunity from PSG. Lee will deliver again, flicked all the way through, falls down, Ruiz off the line. Second one from Vitinha is cleared away by Haaland. I think they might have been claiming for handball as well in their PSG, but that's the closest they've come. The closest either of the 2 teams have come. And finding the net there, wonderful delivery by Lee. Again, poorly dealt with by Manchester City as the ball fell into the box. See it again, good delivery by Lee. It's kind of flicked on at the front post. It falls down into the mix, and City too late to react really. And Ruiz tries to strike it, and as he hits it, heading towards goal, and it's cleared off the line by Joško Gvardiol, who got back in just in the nick of time. That was very close for PSG to taking the lead. Here's Fabian Ruiz. Looking to switch it. Plays it out to Hakimi. Takes it on the first touch. Trying to drive forward. Hakimi looking for the switch ball. Finding Doué. Free on the left-hand flank. Desiree Doué breaking towards the box onto his right. Couldn't find the pass as Foden thumps it away. But dominance starting to grow a bit more from PSG here. They've got a bit more control of the ball, a bit more controlling of the territory. And City just snatching at a few things. Marquinhos doing well to recycle it. Plays it down the right-hand side. Hakimi on to Barcola. We switch sides here with Doué for the moment. So Doué on the left and Barcola on the right flank. Interchanging. Trying to add a different dynamic. Nuno Mendes onto Doué. Trying to get past Nunes, but comes back in field to Vitinha. Now Marquinhos. Down the right flank is Barcola. Hakimi. Trying to find a way through. Just keeping the ball moving in and around the edge of the box. PSG. Across it comes to Ruiz. Now Doué on this left-hand side. Will whip a cross in. Headed away there. Not fully cleared again by City, but the ball bounces fortuitously for De Bruyne, who skips away from a challenge. And they'll get the advantage here. With a good break here for Savinho. Haaland running in behind. Erling Haaland not given the chance to shoot. Fabulous defending by Nuno Mendes, who got back in just in time and kept Erling Haaland from a chance to turn to get a shot off there. Really good defending. And look at this. Barcola does well. Keeps it in play. Finds Ruiz. Bit of confidence by PSG at the minute. No wonder. Unbeaten since the end of November, PSG, in all competitions, equating to 10 games unbeaten. League, Cup, Ball out to the right hand side. Played on to Lee. Lee into the box, trying to dribble his way through. Cuts it back. Hakimi with a shot. Hits his own man in Doué, and De Bruyne can now get the escape for Manchester City. Savinho. Again, no real options on for them. A couple of goals going in around the grounds. So Feyenoord 1 up, Inter 1 up, and Arsenal all 1 up is the latest updates that we've had from those games. Heading to the Bernabeu now, and Real Madrid, the reigning European champions, they need a big result tonight. They're not in a great position either in the table, and they lead by 1-0 in the Bernabeu in Madrid. Rodrigo with the goal has given Real Madrid the lead in that one. That puts them to 17th. Yet to draw in the any game this season in the Champions League, Real Madrid, and a goal at Celtic Park as well, where the home side there also need a good result tonight, as they're teetering in around 23rd coming into tonight, and it is the home side that have taken the lead there as well. Celtic leading Young Boys by 1-0. Kyogo with the goal there. Has Celtic a goal to the good. So home sides doing well at this moment in time. It's barring Sparta Prague, but home sides doing well largely around Europe so far. And so far here, it is the home side that have probably had the better chances. But Manchester City holding on and keeping it 0-0, and getting a corner here off Pacho. Does Mateus Nunes, so a chance here for Manchester City from the corner. Of course, you see there on the right hand side of your screen, Arsenal and Inter both winning, pushes them further up in the top 8s, as you can see, both occupying 3rd and 4th at the moment. Corner for Manchester City then, right hand side. Foden will take. Second of the game for City. Foden deep to the back post. Barcola doesn't want to let it roll out. He wants to get the ball moving forward. Plays it on now to, I think that might be Doué. It is. Skips past his man down the right side, and Kovacic, and certainly got a blistering amount of pace to Desiree Doué, but he couldn't keep control of the ball there as Kovacic is brought down quite fictitiously there by João Neves. Comes crashing into Kovacic there and winning Manchester City the free kick. That was very good from Doué initially, looking at the footwork down the right hand side. Certainly an intensity about PSG tonight. They know their job, they know what they've got to do. At the minute, they're playing with that little bit of freedom, albeit there is no freedom in terms of their situation. It's quite clear what they have to do, but they just have that little bit of spark at the minute, PSG. And that's too much from Kevin De Bruyne, which adds to what has been a bit of a sloppy start for Manchester City so far to this point. We're over half an hour gone here at the Parc des Princes. It's still goalless between PSG and Manchester City. Of course, one English side already booked their place into the round of 16 last night. Liverpool becoming the first side to qualify for the round of 16. At the moment, the only side to have qualified. Well, they finished top. Actually, Barcelona have also qualified alongside Liverpool, but they came the first. Barca actually had that crazy comeback last night to secure their place. And the only two sides into the round of 16. A couple of sides could get themselves one step closer tonight with victories, and a few doing that already. And these two in a very different conversation, trying to keep themselves alive to have Champions League football to play in the months to come. That's where they're at this stage of the season. Just feels like at this minute in time, both sides at the minute competing. What would a draw do for either side? If it does end up level, how damaging could that be to either of these two teams coming into next week? Here's Mendes. Right to Lee. Back to Mendes. Well, as I said, a draw would keep Man City in 24th, and would put PSG in 25th. There's only two other sides below them that can overtake them as it stands. Dinamo Zagreb are currently losing away to Arsenal, but they've got a realistic chance. And Shakhtar Donetsk also have a realistic chance of possibly getting into the top 24. If these two sides draw tonight, that would be much welcomed by those two clubs going into next week. Of course, a couple of spots will be open come next week. I would just update you, actually, there has been a change in the system, a change in the situation at Celtic Park. I said Celtic had taken the lead. That goal has now been disallowed. So Celtic thought they'd had the lead through Kyogo. That goal disallowed by VAR. So it's back to 0-0 between Celtic and Young Boys. Here is Vardiol trying to link up, not finding his man. PSG just recycling the ball back here with Pacho. City trying to apply a press, but Nuno Mendes is the out ball down the left side. Just like keeps the ball in. Skips away from Bernardo Silva, plays it into midfield. Vitinha, now Ruiz. Good movement by PSG as it comes out here to Hakimi on the right side. Less than 10 minutes to go with the half. Hakimi plays it down the right side for Doué to break. Doué trying to step in field. Back to Marquinhos. Vitinha now. Around the right hand side is Doué again. Neves. Ruiz. Pacho. Now Mendes. Yeah, it's just when both sides get into the final third, there just seems to be that kind of stopping. Both teams just kind of stopping in their position when they get into the edge of the opponent's box, and it's like just trying to find that extra little pass. That's a lovely ball in behind here for Lee. Ball flicked on to Doué. Doué trying to break it in, cleared away. Here's João Neves. Has to come back to Vitinha. Certainly PSG, the one with getting slightly the better out of it than Manchester City at the moment, getting a bit more joy in this match so far, but marginally between the two sides. Here is Neves. Switches it again. Lee will take it down on the left flank. A lot of movement from that PSG front three as Ruiz's ball is cleared away by Akanji. Silva sends it up into the air. Haaland trying to bring it down. Well blocked by Ruiz. Certainly not seen much of Erling Haaland other than that header from the Foden cross early in the game. Again, another ball out wide. Here comes the Doué. Flicks on for the overlapping Hakimi, who goes across goal. Forces a good save out of Edison. Had to be headed behind the rebounded effort. Yeah, kind of flapped at it with his right hand. Did Edison back into the mix, and Lee might have had a bit of a chance if it wasn't headed behind by Matheus Nunes for the corner there. It was a good effort. Good play again from PSG down that right hand side. Getting them a corner, which Lee will deliver again. Let's see what Lee can deliver this time. Left footed delivery. It's deep, but I think it had gone out of play as it was coming in, so it will be a goal kick. Right, let's update you elsewhere. There's another goal that's gone in. It's gone in at the San Siro. AC Milan have taken the lead against the already eliminated Girona. So Milan 1-0 to the good there against the Spanish side. Rafael Leao with the goal there. Some links actually between AC Milan and Manchester City in a conversation, because Kyle Walker could be joining AC Milan as reports today. So that could be an intrigue for the club in Italy. And they lead by a goal to nil at the moment. Real Madrid have doubled their lead at home against RB Salzburg, so a big victory needed for Real Madrid tonight as Man City are in here. And the shot, well saved by Donnarumma. I think it's Savinho it was that had the shot, and the last ball comes off a PSG player for a corner. See it again, good play down the right hand side. Foden steps back in field, squeezes it through between 2 or 3 PSG players, out onto the left for Savinho, who's breaking down that left flank. And as he breaks away from his defender, gets a good shot in, Good save by Donnarumma, and then PSG headed behind for a corner. It was a good effort, a good chance. Well saved. Will be a City corner. Rodrigo got the second Real Madrid goal, by the way, so he's got both Real Madrid goals tonight. So De Bruyne to deliver. Vitinha clears it away, not fully at the front post. Back out to De Bruyne again. He will look to lift it in. Takes a deflection off Lee. Will be another corner on the left hand side. Five minutes of the first half to go. Still goalless. But both sides trying to find that opening goal. De Bruyne has to take the corner. Left hand side again. Right footed. Oh, all the way through there. Donnarumma committed himself. Didn't get there. As it falls away. And it's going to be a free kick here. As Foden was brought down by Barcola. Barcola thought he got himself away there on the break. But it was certainly a foul on Phil Foden. Yeah, he came right through the back of him. It is quite clearly a foul from the Frenchman. And a free kick for Manchester City. In a good area, this. And De Bruyne and Foden right on the touchline here, right on the sideline. On the right-hand side. For Manchester City to take this free kick. De Bruyne will deliver. Deep. Vardiol flicks it actually away from goal, but Bernardo Silva can cross. Oh, and it's gone over Donnarumma, but it goes behind through Marquinhos' header. But that could have been a bit embarrassing for the goalkeeper. There, he tried to come and claim the ball. Marquinhos clearly didn't hear the calls of his keeper. And the PSG captain headed it behind for a City corner. Bit of control here for City in the final third. De Bruyne delivers again. It's far too much on the ball. On that delivery, as Kovacic will try and recycle it. It's all the way backwards though. Under a bit of pressure. As it comes all the way back to Edison in the City goal. One or two good moments there, City, but a couple of wasteful deliveries by De Bruyne at times tonight. Not the best of crosses. Certainly from those corners haven't been the most fruitful for Manchester City up to this point. As Doué tried to skip away from Vardiol, but that was good work from the Croatian. Vardiol skipping away, but Doué gets back at him and wins it back. It's a good battle so far down that right side. Now to Vitinha. Lee. Infield to Ruiz. Flicks it out to Lee Kang in again. Now plays it on to Ruiz. Tries to get it into the box. Not convincingly cleared, but Foden tries to get Savinho on the break there. Savinho moving out to the right side there for a moment. A PSG winning it back again. Not that cohesion at times from Manchester City in possession. Just a bit of a rush for them to get it forward. That's allowing just PSG to get back onto the ball and just settle the game again. It's a bit hurried for Manchester City at times. Kimi. Doué. Back the way it goes to Marquinhos. Now across to Mendes. Lee flicks it on. Here's Desiree Doué again. This time on the left side. Tracking is Akanji. And we'll just play it back to João Neves. Certainly PSG have had a lot more control of the ball. Man City are creating a fair share of chances as well. Down the right side it comes with Barcola. He's trying to spin his way around. Does find a teammate in Neves. Again has to go back to Marquinhos. Doué. Lovely skipping his way through, and Lee was just so close to getting him back in behind, but that was a good bit of defending there from Phil Foden, but he gives it away. This time in possession does Foden. Seems like there's just that little bit away from getting a really good goal-scoring chance here, PSG, and here they come. Nuno Mendes into Lee, trying to return it. Nuno Mendes across! Here is Barcola, leaves it to Kimi! 1-0. As I said, PSG just a slight inch away from getting a really good goal-scoring chance. And there it is, taken by Hakimi. A couple of PSG's players didn't want to take the shot in Nuno Mendes and Bradley Barcola, but it was Achraf Hakimi that takes the shot and takes it well past Edison to give PSG the lead right on the verge of half-time. And the side that have probably been the better in the first half have the lead heading towards half-time. Really well worked play down the left-hand side. Nuno Mendes on the overlap. Oh, there might be an offside there actually. Nice 1-2 link up with Lee. And as he cuts it back, comes back to, here is Mendes, plays it across, gets it back, and then plays it across to Barcola. Didn't want to shoot, saw the kind of options in front of him, cut it back, and then Achraf Hakimi goes through the legs of one City player, around the other. And I think VAR are going to have a look at this. And the goal that I was just talking about is not going to stand. Waiting for confirmation on that. No goal then. Well, that was an anticlimax. It's well worked by PSG, but just offside from Nuno Mendes. And that ended up with nothing out of that situation, 0-0. Can we see it again? He's just offside. It's ever so close. It is as tight as it can be. And that is ever so tight for PSG, because we just hit half time, and that would have been a glorious end of the half for the home side, but that offside catching them out and keeping Manchester City on level terms. Half time in the Parc des Princes, in a very cagey at times first half. It is PSG 0, Manchester City 0.
Call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine.
Welcome back to Champions League Live. Half-time at the Parc des Princes in Paris. It is 0-0 between Manchester City and PSG at this stage of the evening. PSG thought they'd had the lead just before half-time when Achraf Hakimi finished really nicely into the back of the Manchester City net. But offside in the build-up through Nuno Mendes, seeing the goal disallowed. So PSG not having that lead at the break, and Manchester City keeping themselves on level terms. But in the balance of things, it has been fairly an even first half. I think PSG have been slightly the better side. I think they've been better in their kind of control of the ball and their fluidity in the final third. But other than that, there's very little difference between the two sides come the half-time scoreline. Other than that, and probably fairly 0-0 at the break. But again, if there is a team that looks the most likely to score in the game, it's the side that thought they had the lead at half-time, and that's PSG, because they were just look a little bit more convincing when they come forward. Manchester City look at times when they're coming forward, it's kind of like, what do we do next? What's the next option? And they're thinking about it, whereas PSG look a bit more instinctive in the way that they're coming forward. But that, again, it doesn't mean that the PSG are going to win, but at this minute in time, if to hedge my bets from the way they're playing, they look the more likely of the two teams to find the back of the net based on that first half performance. So we'll analyse the first half now, because there are a few games still underway in the first half, so we'll round up all of tonight's Champions League fixtures and what the table looks like at half-time very shortly. But let's just kind of deep dive into that first half, because overall, we know what this game means. We know what these two teams need to do on the night. They know what their task is. They know kind of where they need to be come the end of the evening in terms of their position heading into next week. Because let's not forget, tonight isn't the be-all and end-all. It's not the end objective for either of these two teams. It's the starting point. It's the kind of the first leg of a two-legged battle to try and get into the top 24 of the Champions League in the league table. At the moment, a draw would be a positive result for Manchester City, because they would stay in the top 24, but they would of course know they need to win next week to really solidify that place, and a win tonight would be much better for them. But PSG know at half time they've played a pretty decent first half. They've played decent football. They've looked more controlled, more sharp, more crisp in their passing. They're sharper on the ball and off the ball at times. Their press has been quite good. So the kind of basics and the kind of key components are there for PSG. It's just about putting them all together and finding the back of the net. That's the difference. But defensively, I think they've looked pretty solid in that first half against Manchester City, who, of course, as I said, scored 6 in the Premier League at the weekend, albeit against a relegation side in Ipswich. But still, Manchester City in recent form haven't even been able to do that in any case. So City look a bit more cohesive at the weekend, but tonight it just looks a bit, maybe the rain has affected them a slight bit. Manchester City just look a slight bit off it. That could change at half time. They could come out with a lot more energy in the second half and really change the game and turn the tide on the game in their favour. But at the moment, I would just say the game would edge towards PSG looking the more likely. But then again, we've seen it with Manchester City before, where they look to be in a position where they're not in a good state in the game, and they come out and pick something up. But we'll see how their character is tested tonight in the Champions League. In terms of the first half, as I said, PSG looked more fluid, they looked more comfortable on the ball. I think at times there was a lot more understanding from PSG's point of view of, well, this is where the ball's got to go, this is where we need to kind of work the ball. And I think down the flanks is where they've looked the most threatening. You know, in those central areas, maybe they've had a bit of kind of a blockage. Manchester City have been there in those central areas, but once they come down the wings, the likes of Barcola and Doué, either side, either wing, look the more threatening in the PSG attack so far, and that's clearly their attempt. A lot of switch balls from PSG, a lot of those cross-field passes to kind of find the gaps, find the space, find the open play, and the open areas to try and exploit Manchester City, and they've done that pretty well in that first half. But once again, when they get into the final third, they just look that little bit lost at times. Both teams, that is. They just look that little bit off it. But then again, it can change in the second half. And in crunch games like this, and big games in the Champions League, especially such early in the season, considering we're still in what you would call the league phase, it's still quite early. It's not even at knockout level yet. It feels like a knockout game where the team that wins tonight has that massive boost going into next week's Matchday 8 game, whereas the team that will lose tonight will feel, oh, we know we need to do it next week. It's a must-win next week. Whereas if they win tonight, it's a bit calmer and they feel a bit more settled about their position. And that's why it feels like the first leg of a two-legged kind of tie you would see in a knockout stage, because they know, well, if we give ourselves an advantage, we've got a bit more comfort going into next week. It's that type of mentality, and I think that's where we're kind of playing into that in the first half, where both sides know a win will be very good for us, but let's just not throw everything away to possibly lose this game. To kind of back that old adage of, if you can't win a game, don't make sure you don't lose it. And that kind of feels like this little bit of a mentality from both teams in that first half being ensued, because it felt like at times both sides weren't going gung-ho for the ball. They were kind of wrestling, trying to wrestle back possession. If they couldn't get it, they would go, right, okay, we'll have you let you have the ball, and we'll kind of just step off you for a little second and kind of regroup. Whereas you would see these two sides go absolute gung-ho with each other. We're not really seeing that in the first half. And I mean, there's no need to go absolutely mental in the first half. Just kind of feel each other out, figure it out, and then try and put it to bed in the second half. And both sides are giving themselves the chance to do that at the break. So, goalless at the moment between Manchester City and PSG in Paris, of course. So these two sides at the moment keeping each other at bay. Let's just keep an eye on elsewhere. There's still one Champions League game that's in the first half. That game in Feyenoord this evening. I'll update you from there in a moment. But let's just recap what's already happened this evening. Sporting, who are in the mix this evening, they needed a big result, but they didn't come away with it against a Leipzig side who are already eliminated from the competition at this stage. Leipzig winning by 2-1 earlier this evening. They were actually 1-1 in that game. Benjamin Šeško gave Leipzig the early lead. They thought they had a second when that goal was cancelled from David Raum, but in the second half, Victor Gyökeres got Sporting back on terms before Yusuf Poulsen got Leipzig back in front. It was more playing for their pride and their efforts. RB Leipzig this evening, they knew they weren't going to get anything because they had lost all 6 games up until this point, and that win over Sporting, their first of the campaign in the Champions League, and maybe their last, who knows. But Sporting not giving themselves a bit of comfort heading into next week because they sit in 21st at the moment, so they're not in a good position. But they know a win next week would solidify it. Right. Also earlier this evening, Shakhtar kept their slim but still possible hopes of finishing in the top 24 alive when Kevin and Sudakov from the penalty spot gave them a 2-0 win over Stade Brest, who have been very impressive this season, the French side. Brest, probably one of the best French sides in the competition this season. Probably maybe Monaco battling on that front as well. But Brest, only their second defeat of the Champions League campaign away at Shakhtar earlier this evening. Shakhtar still outside the top 24 in 27th, but are just 2 points off the top 24. So it's still mathematically possible. However slim their chances, it's still possible, and they keep that chance alive going into next week. In our 8 o'clockers then, which all have gone to half time, and there's a bit of an update from the Feyenoord game that's just gone 2-0, but we'll tell you about that in a moment. We start with AC Milan heading into this one tonight. AC Milan knowing that they can all but kind of secure their place in the next round if they win this evening, which they are doing. At the moment, they're leading Girona by 1-0 at the brick. Rafael Leao with the goal. It would put Milan up to 6th in the table. They would be on 15 points, 2 ahead of those outside the top 8, so they would be all but there. They will be needing something out of next week to solidify that place, but a win tonight would be one step closer to the round of 16 for AC Milan. For Arsenal, they know they can all but secure their place in the round of 16. They will be on 16 points with a win tonight, and they are winning at the break. They are leading at Dinamo Zagreb by 1-0. Declan Rice with that goal in the second minute. But Zagreb know that if they come away with anything out of Arsenal tonight, they can keep their hopes of qualifying alive. They're in 26th. Anything tonight would be a bonus for Dinamo Zagreb. Actually, quite intriguingly, if Dinamo Zagreb were to cause an upset to Arsenal and City and PSG were to draw tonight, it would mean Zagreb would be in the top 24 and both City and PSG would be out of the top 24 come the end of tonight. But that is a long way off, with Arsenal 1-0 to the good. Half time at Celtic Park as well. Celtic 0, Young Boys 0. Kyogo thought he'd given Celtic the lead. That was cancelled through VAR. A couple of offsides as well for Celtic this evening. And Arne Engels has missed a penalty for Celtic, so they should be ahead at the side from Glasgow, but they are not at this minute in time. It is 0-0. Celtic know that a big win tonight would be really positive for them because they would be in a very fortuitous position going into next week. A win for Celtic tonight would put them on 12 points and would, depending on the results between PSG and City tonight in the Dinamo Zagreb game, that they would all but be qualified for the top 24 for Celtic. Feyenoord, as I said, a bit of an update there since we last updated you on that game. Feyenoord 2-0 up now against Bayern Munich. Santiago Jimenez from the penalty spot just before half-time, doubling Feyenoord's lead. It's been all Bayern Munich in attacking threat. 14 shots from the German side. But they're 2-0 down against Feyenoord, who have had just 3 shots and 20% of the ball in that first half. It is what you call a smash and grab, if you've ever seen one. And Bayern keep themselves, well, in that middle zone at this minute in time, and not in the top 8 where they want to be. As I said, AC Milan. Real Madrid 2-0 up against RB Salzburg at half-time. Rodrigo with both goals in that one. And Inter Milan, like their Milan counterparts, Lautaro Martinez has them 1-0 to the good at half-time. Right, that's where we stand at half-time in all of those games. But the second half, in our goalless draw between PSG and Man City at the Brick, is on the way in just a moment. So do stay with us.
Call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine.
Welcome back to Champions League Live. The second half at the Parc des Princes is on the way in just a moment. Don't forget, though, that tonight may be the end of Matchday 7, but we have one night of Matchday 8 to come for you. The final Matchday of the Champions League league phase this season comes next Wednesday evening as we watch all the teams battle it out for those final places and those final positions in the Champions League league phase. All 18 fixtures kicking off at the same time next week. It is going to be chaos personified, but it is going to be an absolute cracking night. And join us for that next Wednesday, 8 o'clock on LFS. Right, second half between PSG and Manchester City is on the way. There's the players in the tunnel for this one. And it is, as I said, in a position where a draw doesn't really help either of these two teams at this minute in time, because it keeps them in limbo going into next week, knowing that they're going to need a big result from next week's game. But as I said, it is Manchester City that have that slightly little more they're getting out of this draw than what PSG would, albeit they're both getting a point. But Man City have the position in the top 24. That is the difference at this minute in time, and that's why PSG probably more in need of a win than their opponents tonight. So PSG back out on the field. Man City are just going to join them in a second. It looks like Luis Enrique is making a change at half-time because Ousmane Dembele is stripped and ready to come on. And I think City are going to make a change as well, because it looks like Rico Lewis is coming out here for Manchester City. So some changes at the break for both teams to try and turn what would be a pretty underwhelming draw into what could be a win for one of these two in this second half. So at half-time then for PSG, Ousmane Dembele has entered the field. Lee Kang-in has been taken off. And for Manchester City, Rico Lewis and Jack Grealish are coming on. And they're going to replace, at this moment in time, if I can get the full details of who's coming on for City there, or who's coming off for Manchester City. It's Lewis and Grealish on. But we don't have the details of who's coming off just yet. I mean, we can count them, we can figure it out, but I'll let you know. But there's certainly changes afoot for both at the break. Both head coaches wanting something different, something slightly different from their two teams in the second half, and those changes, their attempts to make that happen. Of course, as I said, the draw would be quite underwhelming on the night for these two. But in the context of how things are going, even a 1-0 win would be huge at this stage. It's the 3 points that are so hardly fought, and will be battled for, certainly, in this second half. I expect a similar theme from between first and second. I don't expect either side to come absolutely flying out of the blocks in the second half. But at the minute, these two not in a great position. And they need these 3 points. Grealish couldn't get on the end of that ball there. Douay intercepting. Ball from Ruiz trying to squeeze it through for Dembele, but well blocked out as Bernardo Silva carries it forward. De Bruyne in a tight space in the middle, gives it away to Ruiz. Vitinha. Now all the way back here at left back with Nuno Mendes for PSG. Nice 1-2 link up with Vitinha. Mendes out to the right hand side for Douay. So Douay down the right hand side, trying to find a way through, cuts it back infield to Ruiz. Swings it out to the left hand side for Barcola, chests it down up against Lewis. Matheus Nunes battling with Barcola there. Nunes just about doing enough as Edison thumps it clear. We can tell you those changes at half time, by the way, for Manchester City. Grealish has come on for Savinho, so a straight swap on that left hand side. And at the back, Rico Lewis has come on and has replaced Ruben Dias at the break, which is a bit of a concern for Manchester City, because I doubt Pep Guardiola would make that change unless he needed to make that change at half-time at centre-back. And Rico Lewis on for Ruben Dias. So you could just take a hint and a guess that maybe that could be an injury for the Portuguese. Centre-back for Manchester City, which isn't a good sign for them, but we'll find out more about that later. After the game to find out the full situation, but that's all you could really guess towards. This is a nice turn here for Vitinha. Space for PSG. Down the left hand side it comes. Here's Dembele. Douay battling, just about keeping it alive as it bounces back to Marquinhos. PSG again just taking a bit more control of the game in the second half, at the start of the second half anyway. The ball swung out to the right side for Dembele, but he couldn't control that one. Ousmane Dembele, and it will bounce out for a throw-in to Manchester City. City at the back here. Vardiol, who's kind of Vardiol's just gone across to centre back, and Lewis just filling in at left back for City at the minute. It's the rejigging at the time. Here's Bernardo Silva playing it through here for Foden. City on the move. Foden, well closed out and sent back towards his own goal there by the PSG midfield. Kanji. Nunes down the right for Foden. Foden flicks it on down the right hand side here. Akanji breaking through. Manuel Akanji still going, cuts it back, and the shot bubbling everywhere, and the finish by Jack Grealish. Scrappy goal for Manchester City, but it doesn't matter. Manchester City break the deadlock at the start of the second half, as PSG thought they'd had the lead before half-time. It is their opponents that lead at the start of the second half, and it's the substitute Jack Grealish there to finish, to give Manchester City the lead. It's really poor from PSG's point of view. Nice break down the right hand side. Manuel Akanji breaks down the right hand flank. I don't know how he gets there, why he's there, but he is. He's in the right position. And a bit of an overload for Manchester City down that side. Gets a bit of a pinball effect in the box, bouncing everywhere off the keeper, off the defenders, off the keeper again, and it falls for Jack Grealish just perfectly for the Englishman, who strikes it with his right into the far left corner, and it gets Manchester City the lead. Well, you kind of felt that maybe a scrappy goal would be the difference between the two sides early, although hold on here a moment. VAR are having their involvement here. So they ruled out the PSG goal in the first half for offside. And it will stand. So the goal will stand. A quick VAR check. And the check is complete. And City do lead. So there you are. The deadlock broken. And the visitors ahead. Which is absolutely massive for them. What that means for the table then for Manchester City, as it stands with the results elsewhere, they will fly quite a bit up the table. They will be up into 18th. They would be 3 points ahead of 25th going into next week's game, all but securing a 24th place finish for Manchester City in the league positions. Of course, they're at home next week. Are Manchester City. They are at home to Club Bruges. Bruges aside battling in the mix, so you can't underestimate Club Bruges, but City at home have been 2 wins and a draw from their 3 Champions League home games this season. It's now more effort for PSG to try and get back into the game and get back on terms for one, but to try and get the winner. Here comes De Bruyne though. City want to add to this lead. Here's Foden down the right hand side, breaking forward, not able to find a way through, and PSG they're just getting back into position. But this is where the game could turn. This is where it could go from PSG being slightly the better of the two sides to Manchester City just taking control of the game with the lead now, and PSG just being kind of seen out. Got that feeling that maybe this game might not go that way. Here's Matheus Nunes though, with space here to stride forward for City. Nunes plays it through down the left hand side for Grealish. Grealish in the box. Jack Grealish binds it back. Haaland 2-0. Another one that kind of deflects perfectly for Manchester City, and it is the killer striker that doubles Manchester City's lead. And there's certainly headroom, there's breathing room, there's all sorts of room for Manchester City now. Really well worked by Matheus Nunes, breaks into space, plays it out to Grealish. Grealish tries to cut it back to Matheus Nunes in the box. It takes a deflection of a PSG player back into the mix, and it comes back perfectly for Erling Haaland just to follow it in. Donnarumma can't do much but palm it into his own net as he tries to save it. But Erling Haaland doubles Manchester City's lead. And that really, in a matter of moments, for the game being on terms, it's now 8 minutes gone in the second half, and Manchester City lead by 2-0. That's how quickly games can change in the Champions League. And PSG's hopes might just be fading in front of our eyes. PSG have a trip to Stuttgart next week, which is far from an easy game for PSG next week, considering their opponents they've already struggled against this season. Stuttgart at this minute in time are the team also that will be battling to keep themselves in the top 24 next week, so it will be an even tougher test away from home next week for PSG if they can't find a way through this one. But at the moment they make themselves an even tougher task with them now 2-0 down. More goals to tell you about elsewhere. We haven't had time to talk about anywhere else because we've been having a lot of action at the start of the second half here at the Parc des Princes. It is now 4-0 to Real Madrid. They're thumping their way. Here come PSG though. Here's Bradley Barcola breaking forward. Barcola cuts it back. The shot, the goal! And from a moment where Manchester City thought they were cruising their way to victory here in Paris, PSG from nowhere get themselves a goal back. And it's their substitute, Ousmane Dembele, with the goal. A great break down the left-hand side. Beautifully worked by Bradley Barcola. Skips past his man, bursts into the box, cuts it back perfectly for Ousmane Dembele with a really nice finish. Low and hard past Edison. And PSG, from being almost dead and buried in this game to coming right back to life and back in the game. I mean, what a start to the second half. 3 goals in 10 minutes. 2-1. That's what we were missing in the first half. Just goals. Now we've got the energy around the stadium. Now we've got kind of a real shootout type of game. And it's going to go end to end, tussle after tussle after tussle right now until the end of the game. Because from PSG 2-0 down, they're back in it now. They're in a matter of seconds, really. Really good solo run by Bradley Barcola down the left. And it's that type of goal, it's that type of moment that can reignite them in the game. From a moment of being 2-0 down to 2-1 down. Just that little bit change and the momentum might swing. But, I mean, there wasn't much time. That City had a 2-goal lead, about 2 minutes. And about, what was it now? About 8 minutes ago, it was 0-0. And every time I tell you about Real Madrid, something seems to happen in our game. I'll not tell you about Real Madrid now, because here comes City again. Haaland, linking up with Foden. A lot of bubbling around the edge of the box as PSG come away with it here with Vitinha. Lovely holding of the ball. Down the right-hand side it comes. Here's Desiree Doué. PSG have got energy now. Doué. Cycles it back in the midfield for Vitinha. Across now to Neves. Swings it out to the left. Finds Barcola. Barcola here. Breaking into the box. Bradley Barcola! Over the bar. Good opportunity. The execution not well taken, but really good build-up play from PSG. Barcola shot very far wide of the goal, but it was got that little bit of energy right back in it for PSG. It's gone from a moment where Man City thought they were cruising, as I said, to now the game's just back to being a bit of a tentative battle, but a lot more energy. As I was saying, because I haven't had a minute to tell you about what's going on elsewhere in our other 6 Champions League games that are underway, because there's a lot to keep an eye on, a lot to keep up to date with. Real Madrid have got 2 more goals at the start of the second half. Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. have made it 4-0 to Real Madrid, so no doubt where the points are going there this evening, and Real Madrid need those 3 points, and they're going to get them tonight, barring one of the most bizarre comebacks ever in Champions League history, but they're 4-0 up. And seemingly they are cruising towards 3 points. Inter have doubled their lead away at Sparta Prague, so they are getting closer, picking up what will be another crucial set of points for the Italian side, moving them to the top 4 in the Champions League table. Denzel Dumfries with that second goal that has Inter to the good, and that's where we stand then. Elsewhere, Mendes on the overlap here against Neves. Mendes kind of get the ball in, blocked off by Akanji. Will go behind for a corner. Just that little bit of extra motivation from PSG in these last few minutes. Got that goal back, they've got that belief back, and they're certainly back in the game. Corner taken short. Cut across the box, but well cleared away as De Bruyne tries to stride away with the ball, but 5 in navy blue around him, and they win it back through Pacho. And Marquinhos back to Pacho, just getting PSG back on the ball. Although here, Akanji had to thump that clear as he was being pressed there. Man City a bit caught adrift here. João Neves. Ruiz plays it on. Cutting in, field a shot off the crossbar, followed up and in by Bradley Barcola. They're all the way back, PSG. This game has been incredible in the 15 minutes of the second half. From 2-0 up to 2-2. This is an incredible game of football, and Bradley Barcola has PSG's leveller. I mean, it's again another scrappy goal, but the shot off the left-hand side. I'm trying to see who took the shot. But anyway, the shot comes off the crossbar. It bounces back into the box, and Bradley Barcola kind of slices it. The keeper's already sitting down in Edison trying to make the save from the first one, and it just goes into the far corner. I mean, and now PSG are going to make changes, but it's 2-2, and for Manchester City, in a very dominant position to now looking at themselves probably on the back foot in this game. PSG 2, Manchester City 2, and we're set up for what is going to be an incredible last 30 minutes. And, I mean, this competition, wow. Now, from 18th City, about a minute and a half ago, back down to 24th. With the game being level again. Those PSG changes, by the way, Gonzalo Ramos and Warren Zaire-Emery have come on, replacing Desiree Doué and Fabien Ruiz. Doué was the one that had the shot that came off the crossbar, by the way, so that's what led to that second PSG goal, and now they're on the brick for more. Here they come again. Zaire-Emery down the left-hand side. Barcola on the left flank, ticking on his man. In Akanji, cuts it back to the edge of the box. Vitinha keeps it alive. Zaire-Emery, Barcola to deliver. Over the head of Dembele, it will fall here. The shot will be taken over the bar by João Neves, but it will be a deflection and it will be a corner. Cleared away by Grealish, and it's the shot taken by Neves. It took a deflection, I think might have been on Foden on the edge of the box, and goes over the bar for the corner. But what a comeback from PSG in 4 minutes from 2-0 down back to 2-2. And Bradley Barcola, the key man. Dembele takes the corner short. Whipped back into the box, and Barcola's shot is skied over the bar. If it had kept it down, that would have been a cracking goal, but with the technique, up in the air he went with it. But up in the air the ball went, and into the stands. Goal kick. This has been... what a second half. I mean, if we were bored by the first half, we've certainly been excited in the second half so far. 4 goals in a 10-minute spell. The 50th minute was when City scored their opener, and in the 60th minute PSG got their second goal to make it 2-2. What a 10 minutes of football. And there's still a good 25 to go. Quite exciting. Just makes it much more tentative, much more interesting, much more intriguing, as that who knows what way this game's going to go between now and the full-time whistle, and who's going to come away with the points, who's going to come away with anything, because at this time it's anybody's guess. And that's going to be a free kick for PSG, as Haaland there with a foul, which he's disagreeing with, shaking his head quite vigorously there, Erling Haaland, but the foul given against the City striker, and the foul on Nuno Mendes, the PSG left back. But I said about this game, and in the first half when it was 0-0, I said PSG looked like they had more control. And control, I think, is a key word, because when you're 2-0 up, all you want to do is just control the game, manage the game, settle. But City could not do that for the life of them. Do it when they went 2-0 up. They just couldn't control the game. There was just no belief there. As the PSG come forward again, and Dembele shot over the bar. Wanted a corner, not going to get one. But again, Manchester City, they were 2-0 up. They were cruising. They were in comfortable control. They were dominating that early start of the second half. And as soon as it went 2-0 and the game restarted, PSG had that little bit of extra energy about them, and they needed to have that energy. You know, they needed at that point to really waken up and get back into the game, and they did. They responded right away, got themselves back into the game, and now they're right back on terms, and now they're trying to push to take the lead. Here they come again, ball into the box. Nuno Mendes just ahead of him, will take a deflection corner, but they are all going at it now, PSG. Those 2 goals have given them the belief of a team that are 5-0 up and wanting to make it 6. They are all over Manchester City, who just can't keep them at bay at the minute. Another cross from the corner, brought to Barcola. Oh, and it's a cross and put behind by Erling Haaland for a corner. Got a full whack of it there, that Erling Haaland. Haaland then headed it down, and then the ball came across the box from Barcola, and it came off the shoulder of Haaland. He got a full whack of the ball there as it came across to him. but it's kind of all hands on deck for Manchester City at the minute. They've got a storm to waver. Quite literally as well. It is lashing rain still, but metaphorically, figuratively as well, because PSG are throwing everything at them at the minute. And Haaland there got a bit off guard. A couple of those defensive moments. And he is okay. Corner then for PSG. Dembele to deliver. Right footed. Fizz across the near post. Cleared away. As Foden thumps it long, but again, PSG just have that extra little bit of belief at the moment. Lovely switch ball by Ruiz. Out to the left-hand side it comes. To Barcola. In behind. Zaire-Emery making the run. Cuts it back across the box. And put behind by Matheus Nunes. It's all PSG. Beautiful run by Zaire-Emery. Nice cut back. Just a bit too close to the City defence. But again, gets themselves a corner. Every time they get the ball, they're flooding forward. They're flying forward. Here's Hakimi. Cuts it back. The shot. Charged down from João Neves there. And PSG wary of the counter-attack. Here's Kovacic. Said he won a counter. And Bernardo Silva trying to get Manchester City up the pitch, where they've barely been in the last 10 minutes or so since they got their second of the game. No updates. Sorry, we do have an update. Apologies. I was about to say no updates from those other games. There is an update to tell you about. One English side that spoiled a 2-goal lead at the weekend have got themselves back into a 2-goal lead this evening. They're 2-0 up. Are Arsenal at home to Dinamo Zagreb. Kai Havertz with the second goal. Arsenal not looking to repeat what they did at the weekend against Aston Villa, because they're 2-0 up now. And that will be a big result for Arsenal tonight. Here comes City again. Grealish in behind. Erling Haaland making a run. Carried to the left-hand side. Not really well kept. Bernardo Silva. Lewis around the corner. Back to Matheus Nunes, who forced it forward here to Foden. The jeers from the home crowd to Manchester City having possession of the ball at the minute in time. It comes all the way back. Again, they're not getting forward with it. As Barcola there on the block. And they're going to make another few changes, Manchester City, at half-time here, or from those that they made at half-time. So they're going to make another double substitution. So McAtee and Gundogan are going to be coming on here for Manchester City. It looks like Kevin De Bruyne is coming off, so the City captain is coming off along with Mateo Kovacic. So Kovacic and De Bruyne are off, and Okay Gundogan and James McAtee is coming on. So more changes for Manchester City in what is a knife-edge game in Paris. Just over 20 minutes to go. PSG 2, Manchester City 2. And the game on the edge. A win for one of these two teams would be massive in their Champions League campaigns. And City were as good as they could have been towards 3 points in this tight game. But PSG fought all the way back. Here's Dembele. Skips past his man. Dembele off the crossbar. Oh, that would have been an unbelievable goal from Ousmane Dembele. Sent two City players. Nutmegged it through the legs of Bernardo Silva as he cut past him. Broke to the byline and unleashed an effort with a right boot. A rocket of a strike. No chance for Edison, and it comes smashing off the crossbar and out for a goal, for a throw-in on the far side. That would have been some goal if it had found the back of the net. But just at the minute, looks like PSG have got that extra bit of energy about them. By the way, update you, Inter's second goal was disallowed earlier in the game. It's still 1-0 to Inter Milan. That second goal disallowed by VAR. Trying to keep up with those other games because we're watching this one where it's been all go. in the second half, which is all is flew by so far. The second half. And that long ball forward by Bernardo Silva to Grealish is misplaced. Throw in to PSG. Long ball over the top. Down the right hand side runs Hakimi. Lovely header. Brits past Lewis. Hakimi in the box. Beats past Lewis again. Tries a cut back. Blocked away from Dembele. João Neves steps in. Battling for the ball. Wins the ball. Shoots over the bar. Every single little thing is so intense from PSG, and City are nowhere near keeping up with it. They are pummeling Manchester City time and time again, PSG, when they get into the final third. And if they were a bit more clinical, PSG, they probably could be well clear in this game. Because this second half, once they went 2-0 down, it lit a fire in them. And they've had 12 shots in this second half alone. They had 8 in the whole of the first half. They've had 12 already in 25 minutes. But City, comparatively, have had just 3 in the second half. So albeit City were cruising to a 2-0 win when they got those 2 goals, but they've only had 1 shot since that equaliser, and it was pretty below par. So just shows you kind of the swing of the game. The momentum has completely swung in PSG's favour since City scored that second goal, and now they're in a really tough position. Here's Dembele under the cosh in Paris. Dembele, edge of the box, cuts it across. Neves and Vitinha got a bit muddled there. Neves tried to battle it back off Foden, but well held as Bernardo Silva carries it away for City. Back to Rico Lewis. Under pressure here from João Neves, who thought he'd won the ball, but he kind of pushed Rico Lewis over in the process of winning the ball. So a free kick to Manchester City. What would a win do for PSG? Well, they would go on to 10 points. They would be adjust the microphone. Hello? Here we go. We're back. The microphone cut out there. I don't know how long it was cut out for, but PSG 3-2 up with 10 minutes to go. This game, at this minute in time, will be absolutely huge for PSG. This result would be massive for them. And the crowd certainly up for this now with 10 to go. And they're going to make some more changes as well with Bradley Barcola. I actually have no idea whether you are actually here for that goal, if you heard me for that goal, but certainly a great goal by João Neves, his first of the season, and Luca Hernandez is going to be coming on for Bradley Barcola here, so an extra defender for PSG to try and see out what would be a huge victory for them in the Champions League. What a game. Right at the very top of the list in terms of comebacks in this season's Champions League. Is get a free kick there in the middle off João Neves. It was a great delivery by Vitinha. The ball from the set piece is perfect, and it's just really poor marking from Manchester City because no one spotted the run round the back post from João Neves, and the header was perfect. Wonderful goal, and there's no doubting that in the second half, since Manchester City took a 2-goal lead, there's no doubt which way this game deserves to end up. And at this minute in time, it's PSG that deserve the 3 points from how they've played, albeit they got themselves in a muddle going 2-0 down. And that could have been the killing of this team. But they've shown such character, such incredible ability in the second half since they went 2-0 down, to come back into the game, and such spirit to get back. And here they want more. They want to finish this game now. Hakimi fizzes it to the left-hand side. The touch taken, flicked on, and it's finished in. But he's offside, Ousmane Dembele. The flag's up. VAR will of course check it, but the flag is up. Fabulous switch ball by Hakimi. Those switch balls have been a tough... I mean, he's definitely offside there. They've been really hard for Manchester City to deal with all night. Switches it out to the left, wonderfully taken down that left-hand side, and then it's bobbling back into the box. And Ousmane Dembele, I mean, we can see quite clearly he was offside, and VAR just confirming that, so we will get back underway for a free kick for Manchester City. But I mean, just wow. That's all you can really say at times when it comes to this competition. It's just wow, because it delivers. Here's Neves in behind again. They're coming forward again here, PSG. They want that fourth. Dembele will sneak it. Oh, I think Edison might have got a touch on it to carry it behind, but Dembele, everybody thought he was probably going to go a cross goal. Tried to catch all out, and he just tries to sneak it in the near post. It's just tipped around the edge of the post by Edison. It was going wide anyway, I think, but he tips it behind. It will be a PSG corner, and Manchester City on the ropes here in Paris, no doubt about it. And there's 6 minutes of normal time to go. Dembele's delivery flicked on at the near post, and I think we'll get another corner because it came off Rico Lewis last there with João Neves with a flick. So another corner will come for PSG, taken short this time by Dembele. Hakimi cuts it back to to Vitinha. Now Hakimi again. Body's still in the box here for PSG. If they can find that cross, can't really get the room to do it. Hakimi trying to go for the 1-2. Now Neves linking up with Dembele. Back to João Neves. Neves over the top. Dembele will have to leave it because he was offside there, no doubt. But Hakimi battling here with Lewis. And it will be a free kick to Rico Lewis for Manchester City there. Hakimi just slightly too much physicality there. Right, what have we got for you elsewhere? Goal in the Bernabeu in Madrid to tell you about. Real Madrid cruising to a 5-0 victory it was, but they have conceded. And Salzburg getting nothing more than just a consolation goal in that one. They've got one back. Mads Bidstrup with the goal. Lovely name. Bidstrup. Great name to say. And he's got one back for Salzburg, but that will just be that. It will just be a consolation. And there could be a huge goal at Celtic Park as well. There is a couple of minutes to go in that one. They're edging towards what would have been a 0-0 draw, where Celtic were absolutely dominating that game. But it will be, at the moment it looks like, it will be a Celtic win because the home side have taken the lead. An own goal from Loris Benito with the goal. The City deliver one into the box. Oh, headed away. Still alive though. Gundogan over the bar. City still pushing. They would love something out of this, because remember, if City lose tonight, they will be in 25th. They will be outside the top 24 and would need a victory next week and a little bit of help. That's just how it would go, which is quite crazy to when you think about it, that Manchester City might go into next week's game knowing that if they don't win, well, they would know if they don't win next week with a defeat here tonight, they would be out. It's as simple as that. When was the last time Manchester City failed to qualify for the knockouts? Quite a long time ago. And that's a realistic probability for Manchester City at this stage of this Champions League campaign. So at this moment in time, 6 of the 7 games tonight will all be ending in home wins. The only away win it would be at the moment would be Inter away at Sparta Prague. But Arsenal 2-0 up at home against Dinamo Zagreb. Celtic 1-up against Young Boys at home. Feyenoord, probably result of the night if you would say so. Feyenoord 2-0 up against Bayern Munich in that one. Milan leading Girona by a goal to nil. PSG 3-2 up against Manchester City. And Real Madrid 5-1 to the good against RB Salzburg. As that's a header forced out by Gonzalo Ramos to get PSG the throw on the halfway line. 2.5 minutes of normal time. Ball bobbling around. Dembele was the target. Couldn't find him. Gonzalo Ramos battling. Couldn't win the ball as it's cleared away by Stones. Flicked forward by William Pancho there. And out for a throw-in there to Manchester City on the right-hand side. Well, PSG have won just one of the last 7 meetings between the two in the Champions League. City with 4 wins, 2 draws. And they've scored half of the goals they've scored against City in the last 7. They've scored half of them tonight. They've scored 3, and they'd only scored 6 in their previous 7 against Manchester City. So it just shows the kind of gulf and the difference between the two sides. Their only win in the last 7 came in the group stages. They've played 6 games in the group. One season in the group stages. PSG beat them 2-0 here in 21-22 season. In their previous meetings, very close games between PSG and Man City, especially in this stadium. 3 meetings here recently. Draw, a defeat and a win for PSG in their last 3 games against City here. And that defeat was only a 2-1 defeat, so a close game. So they keep them close at home. This would only be their 9th win against English opposition in the Champions League for PSG. They have they have won just 8 of their last 30 against English teams in the Champions League. And in terms of at home against English opposition, it's slightly better. They've won 5 of their total 14 games at home against English teams. This would be their 6th if they were to complete it tonight, of course. Well, Manchester City, this would only be their 5th defeat against French opposition in 15 meetings. And they have history against French teams anyway. Here come PSG again. Dembele through the lines. Gonzalo Ramos! Good save by Edison. I think the flag stayed down there as well. It would have been a good one. Hakimi. Looked slightly off from my point of view. That's why I said the flag stayed down. It looked like it was just offside, but flag stayed down. 3 added minutes at the end of the 90 then. And at this moment in time, it's the home side that will be claiming all 3 points. And it will be another disappointing night in Europe for Manchester City. It will be their 3rd successive away defeat in the competition. After defeats to Sporting and defeat away at Juventus. It would mean they have picked up just 1 win in their 4 away games in the Champions League this season. That was away at Slovan Bratislava back on match day 2 when they won 4-0 in Bratislava. Manchester City, that was really well dealt with by Zaire Emery. Wanted a foul, not going to get one. Here come Manchester City. Can they rescue it late here? Grealish flicks it on for Haaland, who couldn't get the cross in as Pacho came across and put it behind for the corner. That was really well defended by William Pacho. That save from Edison a bit earlier could be crucial to whatever might come next. A couple of things to update you on in a moment. After Gundogan takes this corner for Manchester City, this might be one of their last chances of the game to rescue a draw in what is a huge game for their campaign. Gundogan, right-footed delivery. Punched away by Donnarumma, but he's going to get the foul. So it's going to be a free kick to PSG. Which the crowd celebrates. Arsenal added a 3rd to their tally, and that has just finished. So it has finished 3-0 to Arsenal. And they are cruising their way towards the knockouts. Martin Odegaard with a 91st minute goal to make it 3-0 to the Gunners. Celtic now down to 10. They have a red card. Dyson Maida with a red card in that one, but they're leading by a goal to 0, so that could be a tentative end for Celtic there. Real Madrid have beaten RB Salzburg by 5 goals to 1. We'll recap all of tonight's scores and how the table looks after match day 7 when this game concludes in about a minute's time here in Paris. Unless Manchester City can change the narrative in these late stages, it looks like it will be PSG claiming another great victory. And a PSG side that we haven't really seen in Champions League. I said about how they've really, when they've been tested, when they've been asked big questions in big games, PSG in previous years, they never really had the answers. They never really had the response. Here is Gonzalo Ramos! The flag's going to go up as the ball is put into the back of the net. He was offside, although there's a bit of confusion because maybe there might have been some Man City contact in there that might have reset the offside. We'll see it again. Oh yeah, it's definitely offside. Yeah, he's definitely offside, no question. Right. It was a good finish by Gonzalo Ramos. Lovely take, but he was in an offside position in the build-up. So it's now or never. The time's up, and there's just one last free kick for City. Although VAR are checking this. I mean, this could be a whole other twist in the tail that we weren't expecting. The goal is given as offside on the field. VAR are checking it. So this has got the crowd up, because this could finish the game right here, right now, if this goal is given from Gonzalo Ramos. And the crowd build up to the crescendo, to a decision. Waiting on VAR making their decision. We're into the 5th minute of 3 added minutes, so if it stands, it will be the end of the game. If it doesn't, City might have one last chance. The game all basically rides on this. Simon Marciniak waiting to hear a decision through his earpiece. Still waiting. I mean, PSG players, I don't think anybody knows what's going on. They're still waiting on this decision. Gonzalo Ramos finished it. It was given as offside on the field, but VAR are now checking it. And if the goal's given, it's game over, definitely. It'll be 4-2 to PSG. But if it's not given, City have a free kick in their own box where they can try and get a ball forward and try and rescue an equaliser in the last chance of the game. I mean, what a strange position to be in the 96th minute of a game, waiting on a VAR decision whether the game's over or not. And the decision is a goal! Game over! And Gonzalo Ramos will get his goal, and PSG will win this game of football. 4 unanswered goals from 2-0 down to 4-2 up, and an almighty collapse from Manchester City, but a mighty comeback from PSG. The character, the spirit of a PSG side that we have barely ever seen before in this competition. And it is in a must needed moment for them. And they're gonna get it. A bit of a dubious goal, really. It was given as offside on the field. As to whether it came off a City player last before it fell to Gonzalo Ramos. Clearly the VAR felt it did. And that Gonzalo Ramos was an offside. And therefore the goal does stand. And that will be the 3 points. Signed, sealed and delivered for PSG. Because that's the end of the game. And that, for Manchester City, puts them in a tentative position going into next week, knowing they need to win to qualify for the next round of the competition. They won't need other results, because if PSG or Stuttgart win next week, it would be a guarantee that Manchester City, if they win, would go through based on the points tally. But if it were to further complicate, you never know what could happen come next week. But all City do know is they need to win. That there is no doubt about. And tonight, after 54 minutes, it looked like it was going that way, that Manchester City would be helping themselves to having an easier job to do this time next week. But actually, when it hits the 90 minutes and the game concludes, it's actually PSG that give themselves bit of a lifeline in the competition, and they know going into the game against Stuttgart next week that a draw would be enough to get them through, and that would be enough for both teams next week if it were to go that way. Right, wow, 6 goals in the second half and 4 of them going the way of PSG in an incredible Champions League game. What a comeback for PSG from 2-0 down to win 4-2. That's the final score in an incredible victory inside the Parc des Princes. That is absolutely bouncing. Wow. Just wow. What a result for PSG. And they've been on the ropes for quite a lot of the season in the campaign of this Champions League. But I mean, I'm sure UEFA are absolutely loving this. It's creating great storylines heading into next week. Right, we can round up tonight's results, all but round them up, because there's 1 or 2 things still to be kind of sewn up tonight before we can round you off. But let's just recap what has happened at the final scores from those games this evening, as there's scenes of the PSG players absolutely jumping up and down. And even Luis Enrique is going nuts. It's just an incredible night for PSG. RB Leipzig already eliminated from the competition coming into tonight's game against Sporting. Sporting knew they needed a good result tonight if they were to give themselves a bit of help into next week. But they know a win is needed next week to qualify. They were beaten 2-1 earlier this evening. Shakhtar keep their slim but realistic possible hopes alive of getting through to the knockouts with a 2-0 win over Stade Brest earlier this evening. AC Milan are still playing against Girona, so we'll recap that for you in a moment. Arsenal 3-0 winners against Dinamo Zagreb. A big win for the Gunners tonight after falling from a 2-goal lead in the Premier League at the weekend. A 3-0 victory for them on the night. Declan Rice, Kai Havertz and Martin Ødegaard with the goals for the Gunners to seal 3 points. Celtic dominating the vast majority of that game against Young Boys in Glasgow this evening. Arne Engels missed a penalty. A goal was disallowed in the first half. A couple of offsides going against Celtic could have had them a couple of goals up at the break, but it was 0-0. An 86th minute own goal from Loris Benito was to be the winner for Celtic. They were sent down to 10 as Dyson Maida was sent off in added time, but it was enough to get them over the line. Also this evening, PSG, as I said, 4-2 winners over Manchester City. It is City's third successive defeat away from home in the Champions League this season. Sporting, Juventus, now PSG. Real horror shows from Manchester City on all three occasions. And they were 2-0 up tonight, 4-2 defeat for them. Big win for Real Madrid, the reigning European champions. 5-1 winners at home against RB Salzburg. Rodrigo with 2 first-half goals, Mbappe with a third, and Vinicius Jr. added 2 of his own to make it 5 before they got a late consolation, did Salzburg, through Bidstrup in the 86th minute. And Inter Milan, albeit their second goal was disallowed, but one was enough on the night for them, as Lautaro Martinez's goal in the first half was enough to seal the 3 points for Inter. Tonight, those games between Feyenoord and Bayern Munich is still going. They're into about 90 seconds left to go in that one, and AC Milan are 1-0 up against Girona with about a minute or so to go in that one. So those games should come to a close whilst we're talking about tonight's table. Matchday 7 is done and dusted, and let's show you how the table looks then. We've had a bit of an update to the league table from last night. We've had a bit of a rejigging. So here we go. This is how the table looks then. This is the top 8, just to kind of separate the positions for you to give you a bit more understanding of what everything means in the Champions League. Well, it's quite simple what it means for those two at the top. Liverpool and Barcelona, they are into the round of 16. Liverpool 7 wins out of 7 for Arne Slot's team, sit top of the tree, 21 points, but they haven't sealed the top spot yet. They need a point out of next week's game away at PSV. If they're to secure that, just a point will do. Barcelona in second, 3 points behind Liverpool. Know that Liverpool need to lose and they need to win next week to take top spot, but they are already guaranteed round of 16 football are Barcelona. They are the only two sides at this minute guaranteed at round of 16 football. Everyone else in the mix, all but there, but not fully complete just yet. Arsenal's 3-0 win over Dinamo Zagreb tonight means they are all but there. They're on 16 points in third. Inter up into fourth on 16 points in fourth. Fifth placed Atletico won last night from 1-0 down away at home to Bayer Leverkusen. Atleti in fifth on 15 points. AC Milan, who are currently winning at home to Girona. At the moment, Girona have pushed for a late equaliser, but it's still 1-0 there. We're awaiting the final result, but they, at the moment, as it stands, are in 6th. Atalanta in 7th on 14 points. And Bayer Leverkusen, after last night's defeat, fall, but still inside the top 8, just about. If you want to see how close it is, let's just show you. Because, as you can see there, Bayer Leverkusen are in 8th, just about. If I can get the full details for you. Here we are. So they're in 8th at the moment on +6 goal difference. If we scroll down a little bit into the 9th to 16th places, Aston Villa are in 9th, but there is just 1 goal of a difference between 8th and 9th, so that is ever so close between Leverkusen and Villa. Villa in 9th. AS Monaco in 10th. They're on +3, so they're a couple of goals away as well. Could be very tight come next week. Feyenoord have completed that 3-0 victory over Bayern Munich. What a night for them. That pushes them up the table into 13 points and into plus goal difference as well. Lille fell to defeat to Liverpool last night. They're guaranteed a top 24 place, but won a top 8 place, and they can still get that next week. They're on 13 points as well. And Stade Brest, who lost this evening, had the chance to go into the top 8 with a victory, but lost tonight to Shakhtar Donetsk away from home, means they're on 13 points. Then we move further down in 14th by Borussia Dortmund and 12 points. Bayern Munich, third defeat of the campaign for them. They are in 15th, and Real Madrid moving up to 16th with that big victory over Salzburg earlier this evening. So they're all on 12 points, so that's the top 16. If we go down to 17th to 24, so these are the final places for the knockout stages. Juventus are into 17th. They drew away to Club Brugge last night, 0-0 draw for them. Their third draw of the campaign for Juventus. They're on 12 points. Celtic, with a big win tonight, move themselves up to 18th on 12 points. PSV Eindhoven on 11 points. Club Brugge on 11 points in 20th. Benfica in 21st on 10. PSG with that big victory over Manchester City, making themselves up to 22nd. And Sporting on 10 points as well, along with Stuttgart. That's the top 24. So those are the top 24 teams that would be going through. Down here are the teams that are outside looking in at the moment. Manchester City would be, if the campaign ended tonight, would be eliminated. They know they need to win next week at home to Club Brugge if they are to have any chance of surviving. A draw would not be enough for Manchester City, no matter what happens elsewhere. A win is a must for Pep Guardiola's team next week. They're on 8 points. Dinamo Zagreb also on 8 points. They know a win is a must next week as well, but their goal difference is significantly worse than those around them. Not looking good. Shakhtar need a bit of a mini miracle if they are to complete a top 24 spot. They're going to need a goal swing of the ages to change that factor, because they can only get to 10 points. And everybody in the top 24 already has 10 points. That's all but done and dusted for them. That should be complete for all of those teams below, because they have all completed their 7th game and they're all officially eliminated. So 28th down: Bologna, Sparta Prague, Leipzig, Girona, Red Star Belgrade, Sturm Graz, Salzburg, Bratislava and Young Boys, all now officially eliminated out of the Champions League. So the big story will be, will Manchester City do it? Will they get into the top 24 next week? They have Club Brugge, who have a bit of battling of their own to do going into next week. We will see how they do. Quickly, just to recap: Feyenoord 3-0 winners against Bayern Munich. Goals there: Santiago Jimenez with 2 goals in the first half, and Ayase Ueda with a 3rd goal for Feyenoord in the second half, making it 3. And Milan's only goal of the night, Rafael Leao in the first half, securing victory for Milan. So that is us until next week, in 7 days' time, where we will conclude the inaugural Champions League phase of this season, and we will confirm 24 teams into the knockouts. 8 will automatically go through to the round of 16, and the other 16 teams will battle for a place alongside those 8 in the round of 16 in a knockout playoff. So that will all be decided next week. Join us then. Matchday 8 next Wednesday. All 18 games kicking off at the same time. It will be chaos. It will be madness. But we love it that way. And we'll see you next week. We have Premier League coming up this weekend, so do join us on Sunday for Premier League action. But until then, have a great rest of your week. And PSG, the comeback kings in Paris tonight. Night night.